Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day. We'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the charts of Bitcoin. Bitcoin took a little bit of a dipperoo as we projected. We saw it bounce off the cloud on the hourly, going up into the liquidity and possibly rejecting off of a Fibonacci zone and double topping and coming down. As we said, it's more likely to have more downside. We said the entry wasn't the most ideal, but we were projecting both sides properly. So let's go and see what we were talking about exactly. We talked about saying wait for this little kiss. We were right around here. So we were saying it's probably going to come down and kiss the cloud. It came down exactly to that level, bounced back up, rejected off of this fib pocket. We said it's probably not going to get higher than B, and then sure enough, boom, dropped down into the golden pocket, deep retracing into the 886 and possibly coming down into this C wave. We're jumping the gun though, because we need to look at the liquidity of high block. What do I mean by that? Well, people lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters lie in wait and or got burnt to a crisp. So let's do it now. So as we're coming up here and retracing, this is, wait a second, let's make sure we're, yeah, the 10th. So the 10th was up here. We were talking about possibly coming up into these pools. We never know how the higher time or the lower time frames of the 15 will send us higher. We went over that idea of a complete reversal of the market from those rocket ships at 25k and how they led to a more upside. So we said we'll see how the 15-minute does us, and 15-minute never made it above the sweep of the range high and then started to retrace back down. And now we still have yet to sweep into the liquidity here to take out this $251 million character at 27,215. So we're here for it. It looks like this guy is going to get taken out. The long liquidity on this 1 minute chart is still only $446 million imbalance, but it is to the downside. So coming back into this band of liquidity down below and sweeping it, fully sweep would be down to 27,041. So basically 27k to sweep this 100 million down at 27,079, and so on. This tight band of stacked liquidity looks like they might be on the chopping block for a continuation idea to the downside. If we expand our vision to the higher time frame pools, we will see what we can see. Into the charts we go. Turning on max liquidity on the 7-day, you got that imbalance down below sub 27k. We were talking about that too as the draw for the potential sweep to the lows. Coming back to the 26k region and sub 26k down to 25.2. You got double digit pools below 26k here. The entire double digits leading to that promised land of the 1 month imbalance. 3 month also suggesting coming lower possibly. Okay, and then you have the 6 month as well with the $100 billion pools down below at the 24.3 and below price range. Coming to the 2-year time frame. 2-year also has that $261 billion at 23.6. Not to discount the $600 billion up at the 33.2. I just would think they would sweep. It would have swept this first, especially when they were back here. The insinuations of the market maker never cease to amaze how they leave liquidity there, only to come back to it later. Like, why did they decide to do that? Perplexes sometimes. Similar to here. Why did they leave 175, 189, 197 billion dollars here in January and just decide to rip it and leave it there? The protected positions of market makers and their affiliates, BlackRock, I don't know. It's perplexing, but the liquidity is there, and the liquidity is here too. Are these protected positions at 23.6? I have no idea. It doesn't tell me who the liquidity is. It only tells me there's liquidity there. So the liquidity could be exchanges and so on and so forth to protect their assets, market makers. We never know. And as we come into our chart, we can show you the math. Over the weekend, we were going sideways. Saturday, Sunday, we were talking about the 236. We said this 236 entry model at 27,953 would be something to eyeball for this ABC to the downside of a higher time frame ABC. This is a smaller time frame ABC, and here you have ABC. We were looking at this overall 3 hits to the high. You had 1 here, 2 here, and 3 here. The power of 3s is a thing. Whoa, sorry about that. So seeing those 3 hits of fatigue above a range, we got hit to the 786 here, and we were talking about that 786 rejection on Saturday, and then Sunday we couldn't make it above. We said 236 was your entry model for a potential short. Well, a lot of prominent YouTubers put out their bull flags and their meaningless patterns. We were saying that the momentum was getting weak. And what do I mean by that? Well, we have to throw on the momentum to show you, don't we? So we turn on our heads up display and go into the link in the description, momentummaster.info. Scroll down to features, toggle at your leisure, see all the components at Bitcoin's bottom before we knew it was the bottom back in November. And you can go and see the trend cloud and the baselines and all these things, these components as they come into prominence. And the main thing we were looking at here was the 5-hour time frame, this little curvature here on the 5-hour expressing some sort of fatigue potential. And where was that time frame that we were looking at here? There is a time frame, I think it's the 12-hour. Sorry, this is the 12-hour cloud. No? No. Was it the 6-hour? What is this curvature? Ah, the 6-hour. Here we go. The 6-hour cloud starting to curve here and thin, and seeing this insinuation of that curve shows that the move has abated as it starts to shift from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. That 2 to 3 o'clock shift to the cloud is when it's time, the changing of the guard is nigh, and you had this crossover event of the 6-hour, the 12-hour, the 22-hour, the daily was starting to curve. So we go back to the daily real quick and we'll see you there. Daily cross over here. But that was after the fact. That was why we're saying more likely to come down further. Just going over the narrative that led us to this point from the weekend into Wednesday. And basically seeing the price not make it above that 236. It's the math, baby, the math. Math, liquidity, and momentum. Those are the 3 pillars of trading. Patterns are tertiary aspects to that. What do I mean by tertiary? Well, it means that they come after the fact. If you're seeing the head and shoulders, it's already too late. You got to be planning in advance using the math and the liquidity and the momentum on your side, and not drawing your human-imposed egoic trend lines on everything. Alright, so you weren't even able to make it above this channel. The math was saying this retracement to the 786 was your point, and then boom, we failed at the 236, boom, to the downside, trapping the Monday traders. You see that we didn't make it above the cloud. Boom, we came back for a retrace. This cloud was mighty thick. We talked about how this thickness, you batter your head up against it and fail. So even though we were pointing out the possibility of coming up here, we said we couldn't stay updating you for that time. But we said if you go back that we possibly double top here and reject. I said more likely or not we come to the downside, and sure enough we did for that hourly rejection. That pool is still there, but could get it on a Thursday. We'll leave it there. But this is why we were seeing this cloud, and then we came back to kiss the cloud and take it up, reject, and come down. So where do we go from here? Let's kind of clear this up a little bit, see where we can go from here. We came up into this range, now came down to the 886. This has been negated, so we're going to delete it too. Start fresh. Start fresh. Go up to the higher time frame pools. We already know that insinuating of the 6 hour. Let's go to the daily. We already hit that rejection point of the 6.6 fib level. The potential of coming down to this 26K we'll leave up there for you. Okay. Daily time frame. Daily time frame KD lines coming down to the 50 level. Money flow RSI also gravitating to 50, equilibrium, and the Williams starting to come down also at an ambiguous point where it could go either way. Going to the 3-day. 3-day, we talked about this larger time frame narrative. This is why we were looking for a short, not a long, was this ABC idea. Rejection off of the cloud here. The cloud is shifting, comes back and kisses it, just as you do in the opposite direction, ABC, you do it in the downside projection. Here was another example of that 3-day cloud kiss. You came back to 19K, held the super trend, also the 618 of this impulse, and boom. Again, kiss the cloud, boom. And so the reverse is true. When you break the cloud and you come through, you come back, you break the cloud, you kiss it for confirmation, boom. So it's the same thing. Broke the cloud, kiss it, boom. Rise, retrace, continuation, strength, pullback, or shift, pullback, strength, whatever terminology you want to use, it's the same thing. ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. Okay, so coming to the 3-day possible rejection, still holding the baselines that crossed up back here from Wednesday, September 13th. So we still could be holding an uptrend in this for a double top scenario. And how high does this go? Can't be locking this idea in, just keeping it in the back burner. It is a 3-day play, of course. The KD lines coming down here, money flow above the RSI suggesting the pullback slightly being inbound and possibly further. As the daily time frame fatigues and you get this cross down event of the, we're going to just remove this pool because I don't even know how much it was. It was only like 100 million, not the 250 million, so no reason to leave it there. So this daily cross down event is something to be looking at here. We cross down, so coming down in a manner here is what is possible with the daily cross down events. This is also cascading potentially into coming to this cloud to kiss it. We broke the cloud, we kissed it, came back. We could be coming back for another test of the cloud, because it would be rude not to say hello to the cloud. Coming to that cloud on the 22-hour time frame, the angle still nice and strong to the upside. It is starting to abate, but still thick on the 22, so we could be getting a bounce off the cloud, so watch out for that for a double top scenario leading into midweek reversal Thursday. So we'll see how deep Wednesday pulls back some more. Surprisingly, as NASDAQ ripped it to the upside, Bitcoin took a tumble. So NASDAQ was going up, as was the ES. And I think we were having a little bit of a dip with the dollar here, giving the NASDAQ some legs. But Bitcoin was not having any of that. It had its own little narratives going on. 22-hour time frame looking to come back to this weighted moving average cloud at the liquidity pool at 27,199 as it stands now. Yo, nice calls, brother. Possible head and shoulders forming on the 3-day. Right shoulder could be forming, just an idea. Yeah. I think that's basically it. Like this, you know, shoulder, head, shoulder, the A, B, C of this cloud. Makes sense. They could do a little double top extended M and then take it down too. You never know. Let's go ahead and look at the 12-hour real quick. But yeah, we just play these little crossover events one by one. So this 12-hour and the 22 and the daily cross down just like water trickling down a mountain. These baselines just kind of keep the wicks rejecting off of them. And that's why we use the baselines. The first sign of reversal, they're your one of the few leading moving average formulas you will find on the market. And that is why it's in the suite. It's a leading moving average. We don't need any laggard stuff because it will be too late to the party if it's laggard. You want to be ahead of the party, ahead of the crew. So you get the cross-ups down here, the rocket ships and the cross-ups here before the move plays. Get that insinuation before it even knows it's there. And now coming to that 12-hour cloud. Cloud is still thick on the 12-hour though. Wouldn't discount it. The 6-hour though, starting to look like weak sauce here as we broke through it. And this is why that curvature is that insinuation. Seeing that angle abate and start to thin gives you that insinuation of fatigue. Broken that 236 and took a dump, and you could be bearishly retesting this idea like boop 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 and continuing just like we were talking about. And it doesn't happen immediately, so you have like 6, 12, 18 hours of, you know, consolidation on the cloud, hitting these fib levels of this impulse, hitting that 0.65 for a second time and then rejecting, but ultimately playing out in the direction we hoped. 6-hour time frame now coming to a reset status here, so you could have that in a bounce potential coming soon. Coming down into this 706 region of this bearish trend base fib, we still have yet to take out that liquidity pool that we were talking about. Down here, this little band of happiness down at 27,215 and their partners in crime down at 27,079. Taking out this, sweeping these little pools of liquidity would be the next step for potential divergence to form. 4-hour also getting into that oversold status. Cloud was meandering around here, and you had that bearish retest off the cloud and then shift to purple. Now let's head to the lower time frames and start to see what's percolating in the next 12 hours or so. Coming to the hourly starting to cross up here. You had a cross up that we were talking about, that we were saying watch out for that cloud kiss idea as it was fatiguing on the cloud here. Came back, kissed the cloud, came up, rejected, double topped, and came down. So we're getting a cross up event of the hourly. You had some previous money flow divergence here. Slight money flow divergence on the hourly is meant to be broken. Hourly divergence is meant to be broken, by the way. So it may give you a bounce, but don't expect much from it if there is no confirmation on the higher time frames in terms of divergence. Do we see any divergence here? No. Kind of. We see some hidden here on the 6-hour. A lower low on price action, higher low on the money flow. Basically only on the money flow though. So this money flow has a little bit of a higher low here, and it had a lower low, and this disparity between the RSI and the money flow is one thing you can look at for an insinuation kiss bounce that we had back here on Friday. Okay, so could still come down for this last leg here. We got 16 minutes until the daily close. Let's go back to the hourly real quick. So the hourly basically going slightly sideways as we come still beneath this cloud. The cloud is starting to thin and do the same thing we talked about with this curvature. So this is what you see for a potential break, retest, continue. Let's go into the lower time frame, see if there's anything to insinuate that. So we have 6 time frames oversold. What are all these green dots and whatnot? Well, that is the stochastic array, never before seen formula, which simultaneously monitors more than 7 time frames of information over 32 different indicators of sauce. That gives you dynamic alerts to your phone, but what else can I say about it? So yeah, we're at 6 time frames oversold, giving you a glance here. We already went over what those time frames were: the 6, the 12, the 22, the 4, the 1 hour, all these things coming into a low position, potentially giving you that bounce idea. Is it guaranteed? Not really. You can go back. I turn on the history so I can see each time where it didn't play out, and that doesn't mean the indicator was wrong. It was oversold in this position, but you eventually fatigued off of these lower time frames because the higher time frame narrative it was installing that idea from the daily. So this just gives you the ability to see through all the time frames without having to waste your time. So I can give you these 20-minute updates and be accurate for the day in 20 minutes. And I assure you that's all I'm doing. I wake up, get my coffee like this, and then I sit in front of the computer and I do this live. After taking my son, or before taking my son to school. And that's all you need to do. All right, so coming to the cloud here is now starting to shift on this microstructure. Do you see this cloud kiss, retrace, and hold of this cloud on the 15-minute? Is it worth it to attempt along in this zone? Well, we had this complete retrace. There is no real other confluence on the money flow side of things. Like if we go to a higher time frame, what would warrant or justify going long here? Is there any Fibonacci region? Like if we go to another chart here and just draw a Fibonacci here, for example, from low to high, we're basically back at equilibrium from this impulse to the upside here. We're hitting the equilibrium not once, not twice, 3, 4 times. So chances on the 4th time we're going to go a little bit deeper into the pocket here, sweeping these other ranges down here at the 618. So breaking that 27K seems more likely than not. I wouldn't be looking for a long here, but you might get a little bit of a bounce, a bearish retest of the cloud, you know what I mean? Might be doing something of this nature and then coming back down again, but we'll come back to that. So back to the 15 minute, getting the cross down here as we enter the hourly close or daily close. So just seeing what this week, the cloud is kind of weak sauce right here. There is no shift in your favor just yet. It's still purple and could be expanding even more purple. This angle is not something I trust just yet with that shifting 6 hour, the 6 hour insinuating, and the 7 hour and 8 hour also insinuating more downside to be a foot, perhaps thinning on the 8 hour, coming down to that 12. Okay, so it would take a little bit more time for these baselines to scoop up the price on the 12 for a true market reversal. So let's go back and see what an actual market reversal looks like with the baseline. So for example, on the 12-hour time frame, we had a cross-up event on the 12-hour cross up. So it was not there, these baselines weren't pushing down like they were back here. That means we're not anywhere near a reversal. So they crossed up already, and we still had a liquidity grab, and then we came out. So you want the cross up in your favor on these higher time frames, which we do not have. So this is a very wide open angle, insinuating that this is just getting started, in my opinion. If not, you'd have to go sideways, 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 and let these little baselines come beneath the price again. They are directly above the price, suggesting the water is just starting to trickle down the mountain and possibly turn into a landslide. So this is not something I would go against, especially when you don't have the cross up on the 6 hour as well. You don't have the cross up on the 4 hour. 4 hour is trying to scoop it, but the price is still staying beneath the baseline, so you're not getting that scooparoo just yet. The only scoop you have of the baselines here for that insinuation is right here, starting on the hourly. So the hourly wants desperately to come back above the cloud, but that 15-minute now crossing down, saying no way Jose, and trying to give that ambiguousness to hold that cloud and potentially give the hourly its due. As we go into Wednesday chop suey. It's a lot of chop suey price action, if you ask me. A lot of bounces off of order blocks and then it's giving it all back. So yeah, they're getting more choppy with their algos. So you got to play the higher time frame and just let it sit and percolate a little bit sometimes. Keep your stops above certain ranges and just let it do its thing. So my story, and I'm sticking to it. Well, let's go back to that real quick as we approach the hourly close. We've got a little bit more time today. My son is taking a day off from school, so I am not obligated to take him so quickly. So the lower time frame wants to bounce, getting that suppression of the 15 right now, possibly acceleration as you reject the cloud, reject the baselines on the 4 and the 6 and the 12, and possibly get this acceleration to the downside. We would love to see it sweep the 27,190 region. If we just clean up the structure and just look at this for what it is, we have a B, and then we're trying to see this down some more. Now the C wave is generally longer, so coming down and sweeping this completely would be more ideal. What is down at 27K? Let's go ahead and see that now. We have 27,079, 108 million down there. So 27,089. We have another 100 million down in this region. That would be reclaiming this entire vector, so that makes sense. We talked about possibly coming into these zones at the 27K. You got double digits at 26.9, $11 billion. 26.9 brings you all the way down just to that one level of the bearish trend base fib. So we'll just go ahead and extend that nicely down there and just say, why not? Let's take it to the one, baby. Let's take it to the one. Do you get that 1 hour bounce or not? It doesn't look like it. You're getting rejected off the cloud. That curvature of the cloud on the 1 hour was what we were concerned with in the cross-up event. If you can negate the baselines and close beneath this 706, that's the start of the trapdoor. So this trapdoor possibility at 27,284. If we can break 27,284 and sweep this wick and reclaim this wick in its entirety and break with fury below to that 27.2 region, then you're likely to come to this little bit of happiness down below. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it for BTC. Is the USDT going to come lower? It did come lower to that cloud, and then we're starting to come higher, which means people getting knocked out into USDT, unfortunately, which means trades not playing out and people getting knocked into USDT. The Bitcoin dominance came down ever so slightly. does it continue in that direction? The cascading cloud on the hourly says you could be coming down some more as they get kicked into USDT. The total 3 bleeding out, all altcoins losing momentum as prominent streamers shill their altcoins named after them and so on and so forth. And yeah, just overall sentiment low for the altcoin universe. As I mean, let's just put it this way. Has Gala done anything with its metaverse project? How about Mana? How about Sand? How about any of these projects that have all these cool things going on that they claim? I mean, one of the cool things that I found was actually a good project that I was like, this is pretty cool, was Gods Unchained. Gods Unchained was one of those cool things, and I loved Magic the Gathering growing up. So the way they integrated this with their coin, and then they had actual team and 3D, and you could play it on their website. I mean, they got it. They knew what they were doing. This was a real thing. This was no joke. And it just, but a lot of these are just cash grabs it's like a Kickstarter, you know what I mean? They're not genuinely trying to make anything, and then their team has infighting and quits. So it's just like they lost a lot of credibility over the last few years. Since I've been in the space, I have zero interest in putting money and just letting it sit and drain to the downside on a lot of these altcoins. That's just me personally. I mean, you do you, of course, but total market cap also coming down into these regions, starting to shift the cloud here on the daily. Do you get a kiss off of the daily cloud and start to come back up here? We'll see how this cloud reacts on the daily time frame. Interesting, you do have a daily shift potential of a upwards idea possibly on the total market cap. We'll see how the trapdoor holds at 1.029 trillion. Keeping an eye on that right now. Does the 3-day has that same ABC downside projection path? We'll see, we will see. Alright, so let's go. We'll wait for the daily candle to close and then we'll bid you adieu on there since we're already 4 minutes in. Let's go see what the chat has to say and then we'll bid you adieu. So this could be a wick into some divergence, and then you see that shift to the total market cap come back up for a double top scenario here on the 12-hour. Who knows? Let's go ahead and see. Man, did Rainier trade the F out of that coin? Gods. Yeah, Gods Unchained was pretty good. I loved it. I played a lot of that too. I was, when I was coding the indicator and stuff between that. Taking breaks. I had a nice necromancer pack going. So we're giving it all back here on the hourly, potentially coming to that trap door at 706 here. I'll just leave that arrow there, just letting you know. 27284, can we close candles beneath it, sweeping and recovering this wick here? We're here for it, and just an ABC within an ABC. Fractals for days. So you do have that 6 time frames oversold flashing here. I'd like to see it go a little bit further in fury and create some divergence now on higher time frames if possible. 2 minutes. And the volume is tapering, less volume today's dump than yesterday before that. So just keeping an eye on that cloud there on the hourly. Can't discount anything. Could get an uppercut into the face if you don't. Had a few altcoins play out, less red than yesterday. The altcoins playing more ball than before. 33 seconds for the daily handle to close. And Wednesday generally looks to complement what Tuesday did. Not always the case, especially with bank holidays and stuff, so we'll see. Does Wednesday complement Tuesday? We had Monday false move. Monday took it to the downside. Tuesday continued it. Does Wednesday continue Tuesday's move? Normally Thursday is the midweek reversal, but they've been alternating that as retail gets more keen. So we'll see. Daily candle has closed and it did not budge from where we were looking, so could see a little bit of algorithmic sell-off here. And that is it. So we're only looking at the continuation to the downside. Pools down at 27,199 and below, possibly sweeping 27K in general. We'll see as the baseline suppress the price. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it, folks. Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff.